Student, we are going to learn today about kinetic isotope effect. Now, what are the uses of isotope? There can be two uses of isotope. One is for kinetic purpose, that is whether there is any change in the rate of a reaction, or another use is the non-kinetic use. In non-kinetic use, we will see how the isotopes are distributed in the molecule or the intermediate, and another one is to investigate and establish the reaction mechanism. We will go one by one and we will discuss them in detail. Now have a look. What is the definition of kinetic isotope effect? The change in the rate of a reaction on substituting an atom of a bond which is broken in the course of a reaction by its heavier isotope. Say there is a bond, say CH bond, and you have performed a chemical reaction where, say, the CH bond has been broken. Now you want to investigate whether that particular bond has been broken in the redetermining state or that was invert in any other state. For this, we generally we replace the hydrogen atom by deuterium. If you replace it by deuterium, what will happen? The bond strength and everything will different, and hence uh, it will be reflected in the change of rate. Okay, now this particular change in rate will be called as kinetic isotope effect. Now have a look. When you are replacing a particular atom by its heavier isotope, we must assume that there is no effect on the electronic structure of the molecule, that is the molecule remains as a whole same, and the potential surface of the reaction does not undergo any change. Now this potential surface of the reaction will be dealt in detail in physical chemistry. Okay, now there are two types of kinetic isotope effect. One is called primary kinetic isotope effect, where we will replace an atom by its heavier isotope which is being broken in the RDS, and in the secondary one, that particular bond is not involved in the RDS. In syllabus, we are having primary kinetic isotope effect in detail, so we will learn that in detail. Now, primary kinetic isotope effect means we will look for the value of Kh by Kd. What is K? Rate constant. That is, you perform the reaction, normal reaction, and you find out the rate constant. Then you repeat the reaction with deuterated substitution and you find out the rate constant, say Kd. You then calculate the Kh by Kd ratio. If this Kh Kd ratio at 25 degrees centigrade comes around 7, we say that reaction exhibit primary kinetic isotope effect. And if it is equal to 1, we will say that there is no primary kinetic isotope effect. And if it is less than 1, we will say that it is exhibiting secondary kinetic isotope effect. Clear? So there are three possible cases which we can justify from the value of Kh Kd. Coming to the example, see here we have taken benzaldehyde, we have oxidized it by permanganate in alkaline medium, and we all know we will get, say, benzoic acid. Now in the next reaction, have a look, we have replaced that aldehyde hydrogen by a deuterium and we have repeated the same reaction. We know that that particular bond has been broken in the RDS or not, we have to justify. So what we did, we calculated the Kh by Kd ratio and we found out the value to be 7.5. So in the previous slide, I have said if the value is above 7 or approximately near 7, that means it has exhibited primary kinetic isotope effect. That means the CH bond has been broken in the rate determining state only. Coming to the next example, that is nitration of benzene. Benzene is being nitrated by the help of mixed acid. We know concentrated sulfuric acid and nitric acid mixture at a temperature of 50 degrees centigrade, where we get nitrobenzene. Now we calculate the rate constant, that is, say, Kh. We repeat the same reaction with benzene D6. D6 means, I have already discussed in class, all the hydrogens of benzene have been replaced by deuterium. Now the same reaction has been repeated and we are getting deuterated nitrobenzene. And say the rate constant is Kd. Here we experimentally find out that Kh by Kd ratio comes out to be 1. That means it does not exhibit primary kinetic isotope effect. What does it mean? It means that is the CH bond breaking is not involved in the RDS. That is the sigma complex formation step of this reaction is the RDS. In detail we will see in the next slide. Have a look to the mechanism. What happens in the mechanism? That is the stronger sulfuric acid protonates the nitric acid, and by the expulsion of water we are getting nitronium ion as the electrophile. This is a potent electrophile. Now in the first step, benzene attacks that nitronium ion and that via a sigma bond formation. So this is called sigma complex. Now it is resonance stabilized as shown here. Now this is RDS. Why? Because have a look, there is no involvement of CH bond breaking here. Now if you come out to the last step, we will find that in the last step the hydrogen bond, that is CH bond, has been broken and we get the final product, that is nitrobenzene. Here now just have a look here. Since the CH bond breaking was not involved in the RDS, so KH-KD ratio was 1. Now how we are saying that if KH-KD ratio is 1, then it will not exhibit primary kinetic isotope effect, or in short PKI. And if it is near to 7, why it will be exhibiting PKI? For that we have to understand the genesis, that is the inside, how it is happening. Have a look. Here I have taken two reactions simultaneously. Say XH is a bond where Y is attacking, and ultimately we are getting HY as a product and X being eliminated out. Say the Gibbs P energy of activation for this reaction is delta GH double dagger. On the other hand, if you replace hydrogen by deuterium and you are repeating the same reaction, we will ultimately get dy, say corresponding Gibbs P energy of activation is delta GD double dagger. Now we all know that the two atoms which are attached by a bond acts like a spring, that is they can vibrate and on. So the frequency of vibration is given by Hooke's law. Have a look. Hooke's law is written here. In Hooke's law we know nu, that is frequency of vibration, is given by 1 by twice pi into k by mu root over, that is square root of k by mu. That is called Hooke's law, where nu is frequency of vibration, k is called Port's constant, that is the strength of the individual bonds, and mu is the reduced mass. You have already read in inorganic chemistry how to express reduced mass, that is mu equals to product of the two masses divided by sum of the two masses of the atoms involved. Now have a look. So ultimately if we say that since the electronic structure of the molecule is not changed, and we assume that the force constant of CH bond is somewhat equals to CD bond, or here XH bond is equal to XD bond, so ultimately mu becomes inversely proportional to square root of reduced mass. Here in the inbox I have mentioned the reduced masses of CH, that is 0.92, and CD bond is 1.71. So obviously from this data we can say, since mu of CH is less than mu of CD, so obviously mu, that is the frequency of vibration of CD bond, will be less than that of CH. Now energy is equal to h nu. So if mu is greater for CH bond, then obviously energy of vibration for CH bond will be also greater. This is very important. Now have a look. This is a curve which shows the vibration energy level. Since energy of the CD bond is lower than CH bond, so here have a look, RD bond is shown at the lower stage, and RH bond is shown at a higher energy compared to RD bond. And the straight line that is being shown, it is denoting the bond dissociation energy. That is, up to that level, if you can excite the molecule, the CH bond or here RD bond or RH bond will break. So we can well understand that delta ED, that is energy of dissociation for RD bond, is greater than that of the energy needed for dissociation of RH bond. So a generalized thing can be said here, that increase of reduced mass, we will have lower vibrational frequency, that means lower 0 point energy, and hence larger bond dissociation energy. Just remember this one. Now, coming to energy profile. So what is being shown here? We are having two distinct reaction. One is with XD, another with XH. So XD will be having lower energy than XH. Now, in the transition state, the energy gap between the two transition state is smaller. That is very important. Since it is smaller, so the difference of energy that we are having, that is, say, between GH, delta GH double dagger and delta GD double dagger, we can say that delta GD double dagger is greater than delta GH double dagger. Now, this equation we have already dealt in class, that is, rate constant is equal to Boltzmann constant into absolute temperature divided by the Planck constant into e to the power of delta G double dagger by RT. So if you see the fate, we can say that KH is greater than KD from this equation. That means KH by KD ratio is always greater than 1, and since it has been broken in the RDS. Case 1, I have already discussed. If X and Y both the atoms are same, then what will happen? Extent of bond breaking and bond making will be same. Energy of the TS becomes same. So stretching vibration above the central atom will be symmetrical. Energy will then becomes independent of the mass. But case 1 is more important because we generally replace our atom by a different nucleophile. How does temperature affect KH-KD ratio? Now, temperature, again, we are taking into consideration the equation K is equal to KBT by H multiplied by e to the power minus delta G double dagger by RT. Now, from this, we can say that KH-KD ratio is expressed as e to the power difference of delta G double dagger for deuterium and hydrogenated reactions divided by RT. Now consider this two reaction that is given. It's called a pericyclic reaction. We have discussed what you mean by the term pericyclic reaction in semester 1. So here what happens if you increase the temperature? See, here temperature is in the denominator. So obviously increase of temperature will reduce the value of KH-KD ratio. Okay. Can any other isotope be used instead of H and D? Definitely we can use. Have a look. They have already mentioned we can replace any atoms with this heavier isotope. But since the mass of hydrogen and deuterium is double of the other, so we can say that the predominant effect will be observed if you replace hydrogen by deuterium. Another most important point is we can definitely replace any atom by its heavier isotope, but we must think that what is the natural abundance of such isotope, because you have to specifically replace a particular atom of a particular bond with that particular isotope. So availability depending on the natural abundance as well as the ratio of the masses of the two isotope will be very important criteria before performing this type of isotopic reaction. Non-kinetic use to see the distribution of isotope in the product and intermediate. Have a look. Conene is a natural product. Now conene, when say we are preparing in laboratory, when we have say when we are preparing this in the laboratory, we are not sure that from which particular substrate, which portion of the molecule is being generated. For such cases, what we do, we incorporate a isotope in a specific position of the starting material and we perform the reaction. And ultimately, we will see the final product and the distribution of the isotope there in the molecule. Then I can say, like here it is written, that the carbon of the COH group is distributed in different portions of conene molecule. So we can well understand, and from here we can predict the course of the reaction for natural product. Non-kinetic use, another use I have said, to establish or investigate the reaction mechanism. Like say the first example is a Claisen rearrangement, right? In the Claisen rearrangement, have a look. I have specifically labeled one carbon red. That means say it is C40. Okay. If you perform Claisen reaction followed by oxidation, we will get an aldehyde. Now the question is that during migration, which carbon gets attached to the benzene ring? If the non-isotopic one attached to the aromatic carbon, we will get the same product without labeling, isn't it? But I have distinguished the two carbons by means of isotope labeling. So the final product can say that how the group transfers from O portion, that is oxygen portion, to the aromatic one. Next reaction, that is Hofmann-bromide reaction. Here we all know that amide on treatment with alkaline bromine followed by acidic workup generates amine. Now I have taken two different substrates. One is having deuterated benzene and is having heavier isotope of nitrogen. Now both the reactants are in the same vessel and we have performed the reaction. We know that CONH2 will be converted to NH2, but we are not sure that whether this labeled nitrogen will be incorporated in the labeled benzene or not. That means whether we will be getting crossover product or not. Here I have shown you the two products which are formed. That means there is no interchange of the nucleus among them. That means there is no crossover product, which implies that it is an intramolecular reaction. If it is an intermolecular reaction, then we have expected 4 different products here. So this is how we can use the isotope to understand as well as to establish a reaction mechanism. Okay. So conclusion from this, we can understand that information about the bond breaking which are taking place in the RDS and insight about the mechanism of the reaction. Since secondary kinetic isotope effect is out of syllabus, we are not discussing here. If you have any query, any problem, you're welcome to ask me. Please go through the textbook. I know this is not sufficient. This is just a guideline. And go through the last few years CU question papers so you can understand what type of question is being said during exam. Thank you.